last time on Oz Hour?
Okay, last time on Oz Hour, they leave Bunbury after murdering several people. Now they're in Bunnybury, and they get welcome, or they don't get welcomed in, actually. She has to prove that she's friends with Ozma with a letter. Dorothy does. And then she gets let in, but Bellina and Toto do not get let in because they don't want to intermingle that, which is understandable. And then she goes, she meets the king. The king goes and complains about his whole life because he hates being king. And then they decide to go to the little lunch, and he's showing her around, and then is complaining about not going to have these like nice things anymore, and being like, can you let Glinda know that I want this still, and I want that still, and I'm gonna need this still, and everything. And it was super annoying. And then they end up, ending the night and going home. And then when Dorothy is leaving, she oh my god, I'm panicking. What's his name? I don't even remember his name, but the king was like, actually, I do want to be king because I like all these things. So don't tell Glinda that I don't want to be king because I'm embarrassed. And then she leaves, and they tell her that they're going to make a statue out of her. The end.
Hi there, and welcome to episode 32 of Oz Hour, the only place where you can hear everything you never knew about the wonderful and strange land of Oz.
That's right. With the help of some alcohol, we will be discussing each of the 14 books in L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz series.
Today, we will be continuing with Book 6, The Emerald City of Oz, covering chapters 22 through 24.
We're your hosts, Blake Stone
And Wyatt Swangham.
and joining us as always is our resident Oz initiate, Hannah Agare.
I was going to burp,
Oh.
and then it just went away.
It would have been so cool.
It would have been so cool. I was really holding on to it, and then it just went back into my throat.
Maybe you'll remember for next time.
Maybe
you'll hold that burp in for next time.
Honestly,
That's going to be a good burp.
it's going to be a week-long burp. Sometimes the burp wins, and I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah,
true.
sometimes it
That's
wins.
so embarrassing.
It's going to come in the middle of the episode.
Yeah.
You know what wasn't very embarrassing was when you just played last time on, where you recap what happened last time on Oz Hour.
I thought we weren't going to talk about that.
You did. You didn't do so bad.
No, it wasn't bad at all.
You
Granted,
won-
not much happened.
You
They
only
to
went
Bunnyland.
10 seconds over our 60-second goal, so you've done so much worse than that before. And you didn't really miss too much, but I do have some clarifying stuff. Just for fun to remind you, there was a big Alice in Wonderland vibe with the last episode, where Dorothy was like shrinking and growing.
Oh, that's right.
Also, you beat yourself up for not remembering the name of the king. The king didn't have a name.
No name.
They just kept calling him the Rabbit
That's
King. Or
right.
The king
It
Everyone
was,
else
it was
had a
like
name, though.
Blissum was the
Yeah,
other
because we
guy.
do meet
Bristle.
we meet Blinkum and Bristle, who's the keeper of the
Okay.
wicket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a fake name too. I'm not laughing because you said a fake name. It's just, it really sounded Blissum. Is that what you said?
You were
I did
quite
say
Might
close.
as well
Blissum.
be. Yeah.
Also, I think you forgot to mention that the Rabbit King decided he wanted to stay the king, and
No, I did say that.
Oh, okay. So he told Dorothy not to tell Glinda what an ungrateful piece of shit he is.
But Hannah did not mention the fact that Dorothy said, "Hey, I'll go tell Glinda that you don't want to be king." You kind of glossed over that part and skipped right
I
into, "I'm the
see.
bunny and I actually want to be king." So
I
Yeah.
see.
an omission, but on the recap, I think we all would have understood.
Since it was
I
an
was
omission,
speeding.
that means it was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
You lied to our listeners.
No, I'm sorry, guys.
they do not know what happened last time.
So, Wyatt, before we started recording, you whipped up some cocktails as usual?
Yeah, in fact, I did. And tonight we are going to be drinking a drink called the Rock and Rigmarole, which is basically a mojito but with mezcal, the name of which was not going to make any sense later on.
We
All
have to
right.
slurp now.
Okay. All right. Slurp.
Slurping.
Chapter 22. How the Wizard Found Dorothy.
So, Toto, Bellina, and Dorothy are heading away from Bunnyberry after their marvelous adventure from last week. And they're going back toward that signpost, if you recall. Like, the road really just goes two ways. It goes to Bunbury and Bunnybury. When they get back to the signpost, they see those tents that the wizard made out of handkerchiefs right next to the path. So the camp has moved.
Oh,
And
okay.
at this point,
I was like, have they been there the whole fucking
whole
time?
they just
the whole
saw
time?
her running back and forth.
Yeah, they're like, what's she up to?
Dorothy, she didn't hear me.
No, she'll probably be back because like Ombi Ambi and the Shaggy Man are like around just gathering wood. The Wizard and Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are just like
Fucking
sitting
forgot about
at the
Ombi
fire.
Ambi.
I know he's always he's been there the whole time.
Sometimes he talks, but rarely.
Rarely, yeah, and he always has something good to say. But they're getting firewood. Everybody's sitting by the fire. They're just chilling. But then they see Dorothy and they just like lose it. They're like, "Oh my fucking god!" Like
Aunt Em is like, "Where the hell have you been?"
yeah. Aunt Em is like used to this, but not. It's like, oh, Dorothy went missing, but like now it's like,
But
well,
now
I
we're
actually
like-
know where she is, and that's
Yeah.
fucking scary.
Yeah.
She's seen insane things.
But
That is actually really funny. It's like she still goes missing even when she's in
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
She's like, I thought we quit this shit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that you
What-
showed us where you go.
Well,
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I got carried off to Kansas.
Oh my god! Wouldn't that be crazy if that's
that
what
would
happened?
actually be so. And
I
we
would-
just get a
I would honestly-
whole-
I'd be a little bit pissed off.
Oh my god! Yeah.
I want a whole book in Kansas.
Ooh, the Kansas book.
There might be one.
Kansas
that's
of Oz.
Oz of-
Kansas,
Oh.
Kansas out of Oz.
Dorothy of Oz in Kansas.
Oh,
but I feel like
okay.
it would be more fun if it was like an Oz person in Kansas. I think we've talked about that before, actually, of like the reverse, where it's a story about a girl from Oz who like gets transported to Kansas.
The Patchwork Girl of Kansas.
Yeah. Oh, they do have that one.
But the Shaggy Man like accuses Dorothy of playing hooky all day, and Dorothy's like, "No, dude, I've been lost. I have been trying to find my way back to you guys all day long."
And Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are like, oh my god, like you, like, because they were kind of like, I think my impression is that they were kind of like upset, like a little like, oh, like, where were you? And she's like, oh, I was fucking lost. And they're like, oh my god, are you okay? And they're like, well, you must be starving. Which, of course, Dorothy's been gone for pretty much an entire day. That, to their understanding, she's not eaten. She's been lost in the woods.
Hannah, do you have any idea why Dorothy might not be starving in this moment?
Didn't she eat
What did she eat?
what carrots?
A wheelbarrow and a piano.
Oh wait, but didn't she eat at Bunnybury?
She did.
and she had lunch in
Yeah, she had
Yeah.
lunch with the king, but she ate. So what Dorothy
That
says,
was all today.
that was all today. It was like right
and
now.
she's still hungry?
It's for Aunt Em and
Actually,
Uncle
for-
Henry are asking.
Well, I mean, I guess you have 3 meals a day.
But
so-
not
but
usually. You don't
a
eat a
wheelbarrow and a
in the morning.
piano?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess those aren't my meals usually.
Also, she had a Charlotte Russe or whatever. She had a full dessert with her lunch,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure the piano was made of pound cake. So
Yeah.
like but that's what she
I
says
think
though.
for the first time ever, Dorothy is like, actually, I'm not hungry. I
Oh,
don't
wow.
want anything."
Yeah, like she says she ate a wheelbarrow, and the wizard just like smiles and nods
She
and
doesn't
winks
stop
at
saying
her.
that
Yeah.
to people.
I know. This is the
She's
last
like,
time
I ate a
swear.
piano. I'm not going to clarify that at all.
Yeah.
Well, you know what Belina
well-
and Toto ate?
The crumbs.
Oh yeah.
Human
Oh,
Well,
they ate
they ate
babies.
people.
people.
Yeah. But okay, somehow, well, not somehow. Dorothy probably doesn't want to talk about that, so she does not mention that part of
We're
it.
never gonna hear about that poor town again.
No, and we're really not.
Ugh.
But
Say their names.
Bunbury, raisin bun, cinnamon bun.
Honestly, Aunt Em still cannot get with the program, though, because Dorothy tells her this, and Aunt Em is like, Dorothy must be insane. Who's ever heard of eating
Yeah,
a
you're talking
wheelbarrow?
crazy
It's like,
again.
Aunt Em, I actually like can't with you. There's like 6 more chapters in this book. You have to stop. Like,
Yeah.
You have to figure it out.
Like you gotta understand
She
that
needs to
these
catch
types
up.
of things happen here.
These chapters are
Yeah.
not
They
long.
happen
These
here.
books are less than 300 pages.
Honestly, after she saw the fuddles where you had to put these people back together, that would really change everything for
Yeah.
me.
I mean, even
everything
the,
else
the
she saw
cutting
was
clips.
crazy. Oh yeah, cutting clips. Okay, that actually would have already been pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
That would have been
actually.
fucked up. The fuddles, I didn't actually think about it before, but that would have been really disturbing.
Yeah, you're like
actually.
putting people
'Cause
back
they
together.
look like real people.
You're holding a head that's just like, hey, I'm the cook. Here's what I wear. Like, maybe that is gross.
And you can't even like
That's-
interact, or you can't even go past them without making them fall apart.
without watching
Yeah.
a person
It's horrifying.
disintegrate. Aunt Em is like, I've never heard of eating a wheelbarrow, and Dorothy's like, oh, it wasn't very big. It had a small wheel. And Belina's like, no, it's all true. Like, I ate the crumbs. And the wizard tells them, okay, like, take a load off. Hey, Dorothy, tell us what you've been up to today. Tell us of your adventures.
Well, also, and this is so annoying to me, he's like, oh, like, tell us your tale. Like, we've been looking for you all day. Like, we've been searching for you all day. But finally, the wizard had, like, found her footprints on the path in front of that sign. And he saw Belina's footprint, so he knew it was her. And since the path only went, like, 2 directions, he was like, let's just wait here and wait for Dorothy. And if you recall, the chapter name is How the Wizard Found Dorothy or Discovered Dorothy. This is how he found Prince, and then they just waited.
And they just sat and
That's
waited.
it.
What if Dorothy was getting eaten alive rather than those children?
What if there was something other than just Bunbury or Bunnybury down those roads?
Yeah,
Like,
those are the
what if there
closest
was
things.
anything else? Yeah,
Yeah.
I just like.
The wizard failed us in this moment.
Yeah, it's just not very impressive that he said, "Hey," or like I don't know, like how the wizard found Dorothy, and
It's
that's
more
how.
like she found you guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, they waited
Yeah.
in one spot, which is what she should have done.
How long would they have sat there before they were like,
I know it's almost nightfall. They're about to have supper.
Yeah, and they had camp set up. They're spending the night.
Oh yeah, they're done for the day.
But Dorothy tells them of the day's events. Uncle Henry and Aunt Em's minds are blown by Dorothy's story of what she did today. But also
I
Henry's
can't believe
like,
that was all just one day.
Yeah.
it was all.
And
I didn't think it was one day either.
That was
She
like
also
18
went. She went to
chapters.
Utentia too. It wasn't
Yeah.
just because she's like,
That's right.
Because they're like, oh, did you go to Bunnybury or Bunbury first, or Bunbury? And she's like, both.
Oh,
but
actually, I was kidnapped by like militant corkscrews.
yeah, yeah. Well, all she says is, I went to Utentia, which was not on the path, and it's like, okay, yeah, like
Girl,
it
you got
wasn't.
sent
But
to
how about how
court.
you were? Yeah, you were almost put to death by a fucking carving knife that smokes a pipe. Yeah.
But the wizard's like, hey, good thing we're all together again. Like, let's have some supper, get some rest, and continue on our journey tomorrow.
And Ombi-Ambi.
Ombi speaks.
Yep. And he says, where are we going next?
Good question.
And Dorothy, like, after the day she's had, is like, well, we were supposed to go see the rigmaroles and the flutter budgets, so we've got to just do that. Ozma's itinerary says. We're behind itinerary, I would assume, at this point. So Aunt Em's like, rigmaroles, flutter budgets, they don't sound very interesting, but perhaps they are. Does this count as learning something? I don't know. Is she finally catching on?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I read that as like but perhaps they are. Like, I read it as being pretty bitter.
It was just like there was
But
the,
she's just
the
not that
dot,
interested.
dot of it.
I want to
all.
hear less from Aunt Em and more from Ombi-Ambi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, the wizard says, hey, like, let's go to the flutter budgets and the rigmaroles. And like then we can go to the Scarecrow, we can go to the Tin Woodman and Jack Pumpkinhead on the way back home. Like it's all in that right direction, so it's all lined up.
Yeah. Dorothy is so stoked. Which like so am I. Can we just skip to that? Can we
Yeah.
just not go see these other things? Because I haven't really liked
Seriously.
anything we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Let's just go see the Tin Woodman. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Well, Aunt Em also doesn't think that they sound that interesting either, for some reason.
Aunt Em is really rude about that. Yeah, she's like, can't say that the Scarecrow and Tin Woodman sound very interesting either. Which like, listen to what you just
Those
said.
are my
the
best
Scarecrow
friends.
and Tin
And
Woodman. That's what
yeah.
Dorothy says.
Yeah,
It's
Dorothy.
like, whoa, Aunt Em. First of all, do not say that about my friends.
Yeah, those are her best friends. Yeah.
She says those are my best friends in the entire world. And Dorothy's seen more of the world than any of us.
And what if I
Yeah.
were to introduce you just to my friend named Ashley? Does that sound interesting
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
human being.
How's that,
with another,
Emily?
Yeah.
Emily.
Yeah. And to the Ashleys and Emilys who are listening, I'm sure you're wonderful.
I'm sure you're
people,
so
but you get it,
creative
but
and
you get
fun. But like, come on.
it. You know what your name
I
is.
would rather meet Tin Woodsman or Scarecrow.
Absolutely. And yeah, so Dorothy's like, first of all, those are my best friends. Don't slander them. Second of all, you'll like them because literally everybody does.
Yeah,
There's
everyone
never been
loves
a person
them.
who didn't like them. They're the most beloved creatures in the history, and they will continue to be. And that is true to this day.
And we're
Happy
writing it
birthday,
down
my
in the
friend
books
Bob.
right now.
But during all of this, there's this cauldron on the fire like last time, and it's bubbling up, and it's really giving cornucopia vibes. It always just makes food out of it. So that's the wizard says, hey, time to eat. Let's eat out of this giant pot together. And then they go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all just gather around the pot, and they're like,
Yeah. Yeah, with their hands, the magic so
It
it's
was
not too
very-
hot.
It was very spirited away.
Yeah.
Mm.
But then after they wake up, Dorothy specifically does not go on a walk
Yes.
for fear of an accident.
Yes.
Which I
Like
think
a
is funny.
Like a freak who just wanders into the woods last time. She didn't do that.
Yeah, no, she
Yeah.
said, I'm going to actually steer away from those choices in life.
Let's stay at one
Uh,
place at a time.
Yeah.
Instead of going off on her own, this time she asks the wizard if he knows where the road is, and he's just like, "No, but I'll find one." Which, all right. I mean, frankly, I'd rather him be in charge of getting everybody lost than Dorothy losing herself. in
Well,
the
yeah,
chicken.
yeah. As long as they're together, I feel like it's way safer anyway.
Totally.
But the wizard, in an insane display of fucking magic, just waves his hand and the tents just disappear and shrink back down into handkerchiefs, and then they magically zip across to their
Yeah.
owner's pockets and tuck themselves in.
What's really funny is this must have also happened yesterday, but Dorothy wasn't there, so Elfringbaum had to tell us about it now.
Oh yeah,
You know?
that must have happened yesterday or this morning.
Or
Oh
this
no,
morning,
no, no,
this
no, no,
morning.
no, because this is the morning too.
Oh, you're right, yesterday.
Yeah, so yesterday.
Well,
Well, you're right.
Hey,
Sorry.
we're both right. They hop into the wagon, and the sawhorse is like, "Which way?" And the wizard,
Okay, and get ready because this is
What
something.
is this man up to?
the wizard tells the sawhorse, he's like, "Oh, don't even worry about which way. I've enchanted the wheels of the wagon so you can only go in the right direction." Thanks for not doing that to Dorothy's fucking feet.
Well, or when did that happen? Like they're worried about leaving the path because they might
Yeah,
because they
it's
might get
insane.
lost. But it's like, well, when did he enchant the wheels? Because the other thing is that those wheels will only go to the right path or whatever. They never would have left the path.
Also, this man is just like all of a sudden he's got magic. He's like,
Dude.
I'm
Yeah.
enchanting
And
this.
it's-
When-
I'm enchant
when
that.
I
I'm gonna
tell-
enchant this.
When I
that,
tell
and-
you, when I tell you that Glinda taught the wizard magic, she taught the wizard magic.
God,
this
he
shit,
did not need a bigger
these-
ego. Sorry.
Seriously, and these rules wouldn't even exist in like fucking Harry Potter. Like they're the important thing when you use magic is that it has rules to it. The magic in these books has zero rules. It is
No.
just go
Very
for
dangerous.
No.
it. Just it can
The
do
Gnome King's
anything.
belt alone breaks the magical system. There's no system of magic established here. So they are going just across the countryside, just like hoping to find their new road, and they're off. They're chilling, and like the sawhorse is walking, and they're all just in the wagon. And Dorothy makes an interesting observation, which is, oh man, if we had one of those new airships, they could float up and we could just see the road that we're looking for and then go land there and start there.
The wizard, the ultimate humbug, quite literally says, "Bah, humbug."
Bah. He does. He says airship. Bah.
The wizard tells Dorothy that he hates those things. He also says that airships aren't so new to him and Dorothy. And she's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, we've traveled to Oz and the center of the earth by hot air balloon." What else?
Ozma flew in a gump.
Yeah.
The cyclone took Dorothy into the sky into Oz.
That's true.
It's just this highlight reel of all the airtime we've had in Oz.
It's so funny because Elfringbaum loves to do that. Elfringbaum will be like, I need to write 5 pages. Let's talk about the entire history of the lore of Oz.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, I already know. But sometimes then it's like, well, I didn't know that. Astoria.
Oh, yeah, Pastoria.
Pastoria.
Hi,
Ozma's dad.
Yes. But then we learn that all the rulers of Oz are named Oz and Ozma.
Oh my God, I forgot
So,
about
yeah,
that.
it's been overwritten.
Wait, so maybe Ozma's real name isn't Ozma. Like she's just the Ozma. Like he was Pastoria the Oz.
No, she was Ozma.
I'm just trying to make it make sense.
It won't.
Uh,
But they get a little overview of the airtime in Oz, and then Dorothy just says, hey, you know what? Like, airships are the future, and pretty soon, like, airships will be able to take you anywhere in the world, even Oz. Which is kind of crazy because, like, this is 1900 something, maybe 1910, actually. When was this published? I can't
This one
remember.
is 1910. But anyway, Dorothy does say, like, yeah, I don't know, Mr. Wizard. Like, someday people will be able to fly planes to Oz. And the wizard's like, ooh, I should talk to Ozma about that. I don't think we want that.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I really need to talk to the boss about that one.
Dorothy's like, but, like, maybe we don't want that. But, like, how could we stop it? Baby, Wyatt,
Oh yeah, they're married.
We got married.
So you might be thinking, how would you stop people from the real world from coming to Oz? Well, the wizard has been working on a recipe. This recipe for I don't even have what it's a recipe for.
Okay, I have like
A potion?
I have more or less the quote. It's not like the quote, but a recipe to fuddle men's brains so they'll never make an airship that will go where they want it to go. That way they'll never be able to fly to Oz. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, but
Fuddle.
a recipe for what? A recipe for a potion or for like a spell or like
I think like they drink it.
okay,
or he
because,
injects it
well,
into
that's
their
insane.
brains.
What,
And
would
how's he
what
gonna-
use would that be? Why would that stop them from coming to Oz? The only way that would happen is if people discovered Oz, wanted to
Yeah.
go there, and then they couldn't. But they
Honestly,
have to
it'd be
discover it
more
first.
likely that they would go to Oz because they would never think about going there.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, where are
Like,
we?"
oh, I'm going anywhere in the world. Well, you weren't thinking about Oz.
No.
That's the farthest thing.
So that's where everyone's gonna
Yeah.
go if they don't
Wow.
know about Oz.
yeah, exactly.
Do you think that's where Amelia Earhart is?
So this was giving me this was really giving me like Bermuda Triangle vibes too.
Totally.
Ooh, yes.
Um,
When was like the Bermuda Triangle? Like people knew about that.
Always.
Well, okay. Well, it would have
Ever
been
since
like
boats.
oh, it was boats. That's right. I was like, well, it would have been
Oh,
after
okay.
aircraft.
So
but yeah, boats.
like L. Frank Baum might have known about that, and maybe
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what he was going for.
Maybe.
I feel like he must be channeling a like, hey, like Oz is like on the world somewhere strange. Like people could find it, and maybe people do find it. Like or Dorothy found it. Like Dorothy was on the ocean and found it. So it is giving Bermuda Triangle. But I mean, anyone could have thought of that.
Yeah.
Like
But then he also messes up that theory by saying all this and being like, "Oh, let's fuddle up their brains so they never come here."
yeah.
Because
I
then it's like
honestly-
that messes up with that whole theory,
Totally.
sort of.
I think that airplanes, I mean, obviously airplanes are new. Like Dorothy's like, oh, those newfangled airships. I think airplanes are new, and L. Frank Baum is like, fuck, I have to address this before people start asking questions about how they can't fly to Oz. So I have to say
I
that
have to address
the
it.
Wizard of Oz
The
made
people
it
will
so
be
that
in
it
his
can't happen.
DMs.
Yeah.
He'll be getting
L.
letters.
Frank Baum does not check his DMs, and he returns all mail without opening it.
I will say too, I think this was interesting because I do think they're kind of setting it up for something because when the wizard is like, I need to talk about Ozma or talk to Ozma about this because like something needs to be done. I feel like they kind of are setting up for like, hey, people can't come here.
Yeah,
Like,
even
let's
though
figure that out.
He literally, like,
Yeah,
him and
he's an immigrant.
Him and Dorothy are two of the greatest people Oz has ever seen, and he literally just said, "I got here by hot air balloon," which is
Yeah.
the first airship.
You know, the wizard is always on his grift, and he knows that the only people that have ever come there are an old man and a little girl, and he doesn't want good people to come to Oz because he knows that he's going to get kicked out. They're going to
Yeah.
be like, you have an astrophysicist and a nuclear engineer
He
who
wants
can
a
actually
place
give
for
us free
himself.
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
does.
he's like, if another man my age comes here, he's gonna be like, well, that guy's a crack.
Yeah.
or
Because
a
right in
quack.
the first book, he was trying to get Dorothy killed.
Yeah, seriously,
He
he was-
sent her to the witch.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know how to get you home, so how about I lead you directly into the witch's lair because I'll never see you
Yeah.
again.
Exactly.
You know, there back
God
then
dang it, I hate him.
He's
he was-
evil.
he was even more evil back then. But you know, there's room for one horse in Oz, and it's a sawhorse. There's room for one dog, it's Toto. One little girl, it's Dorothy. One old man, it's the wizard. That's it.
Shaggy.
That
is
one
he
hobo.
middle-aged.
I picture Shaggy being like maybe in his 40s or 50s, but I feel like he's old like the wizard.
The way that he was picking up twigs with Ombi Ambi, like when they found the camp,
That's true. He's fit.
it really gives like fit 29-year-old, and it kind of
True.
like gave
Yeah,
me
he gives me
something.
like in his early 30s or
Yeah.
So
something.
he's Jean
prime
Valjean.
of his life.
He's Jean Valjean
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right after prison.
Yeah.
Okay.
2, 4, 6,
Oh,
1.
We just saw that. It was so good.
Oh.
Okay.
So at this moment, unbelievably, because it is a non sequitur. There's no reason that we are just transitioning right out of that conversation. But it goes to the sawhorse pulling the wagon onto a decent road, and it's winding through the hills, and the wheels are enchanted after all. So they found the path, and everyone's feeling really good.
So the wizard is basically like, oh, goody, it worked. And Shaggy Man is annoyed, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
he does.
He's
seem
like,
annoyed.
when you're in a strange place, it's really foolish to get off the fucking road. Roads usually lead to somewhere. So let's not do that again, maybe.
Whoa.
And the wizard the wizard just keeps talking about these wheels. Like he told the sawhorse when they found the road, he's like, "Oh, well, the wheels are enchanted." And then in this moment, he's
just
like,
wanting to show off.
he is, and he's like, "Well, hey, Shaggy Man, actually, like our wheels are enchanted, and so like we're actually fine, and we're gonna be in Rigmarole Town soon." And I'm like, Rigmarole Town? Ugh, I hate that name.
If we were like on a road trip and somebody lost like the map and then we wasted an entire day lost and then we finally found ourselves back on the right track and eventually found the road we were supposed to be on, I'm still mad at you. I'm not gonna just be like, oh, well, thank goodness you found the map after a day.
Well, why'd they even believe Dorothy? Dorothy said, "Hey, let's set across to the west." Why? That's the reason.
The
they got
wizard
lost.
should have enchanted those wheels from day one.
That's what I'm
Honestly.
saying.
It would have made a much
If you can
shorter
enchant
book.
the wheels to do that, why do they need the fucking sawhorse? They could
Yeah,
have a
we don't
fuck-
even need this all.
They could have,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know what?
He's
No.
steering the wheels. The wheels aren't
Oh
steering
my
him.
No,
God.
we already
Gosh.
said there was no magic system. We cannot
Yeah,
get mad at the
yeah.
magic, and we
True,
have
true,
to
true.
move.
It's not the
Okay,
on.
magic's
yeah.
fault. It's not the magic's
It's not
fault.
the magic's fault. You're right. You're right.
But yeah, he knows that they're on the way to Rigmarole Town because, as he reminds us, the wheels are enchanted. After about an hour or two of riding, they come to a pretty valley with a village nestled in the hills. And the houses in Rigmarole Town are Munchkin-like architecture, which
Okay.
means what?
There are beds on the roof.
That's from the movie.
Yeah, that's from the movie.
They are domes.
Domes.
They
Literally,
are domes.
when you said munchkin to me, and I'm like, oh, little babies in a bed on the roof.
Rub your eyes. Get out of bed. But Anna is quite happy to find that this town is neither paper nor patchwork.
Yeah, she's feeling good about this.
She does wonder why it's so far away from all the other towns, though. As they go down the main street of Rigmarole Town, lazy name, by the way, we haven't really talked about that.
Yeah.
They find that like all the townsfolk are out in the street, engaged in like various conversations,
Yeah.
and they're so wrapped up in these conversations they don't even notice the wagon going by.
Like something's going on here, it seems like. Like they walked into yet again something else, is what you would think from what you're walking into.
Yeah.
And yeah, people like aren't really noticing that the gang is
God,
arriving.
Ozma's itinerary is bad. She sent them
It
to a
kind of
lot
is.
of really
I just-
crappy, crummy places. Cut and Clip Place wasn't that bad. If Shaggy never sneezed, that would have been awesome for them.
I just feel like she's like showing them things to be like, it's like a shocking tour.
Well,
A
Yeah, it's a
shocking
ghost tour. It's a ghost
introduction
tour.
to Oz.
when she
She
said
wants Aunt Em and Uncle Henry to leave.
Exactly. That's what I would assume. I mean, like you're literally making it so. Like I've never seen these people.
you know,
Like, why wouldn't you have it be something? Oh, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've said this already. Make it about Dorothy's visits here.
Yes, go to Munchkinland. Go to Winky
Munchkinland,
Land. Go
yeah.
to Glinda.
Go see the Tin Woodsman. Go see the witch's lair where she killed
Totally.
anything.
Yeah.
Just
Totally.
that's related to what Dorothy has done there.
Totally.
Yeah. No, I agree with it. Go see your fucking old house.
It's
still
so-
in the
Your
Munchkin
house
Woods.
is still there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Sorry, that just fucked me up. Aunt Em and Uncle Henry could see where their house landed. That would be like such great
Oh.
closure. That family needs that closure.
Yeah.
They need
they
to see
do.
that house because, I mean, the mortgages they have on all their move them into that house.
They could live
Oh
in
my
their
God.
old house.
Move them into that house.
Okay,
I
we're
need to get. I need to go there, and I need to talk directly to Ozma.
They get to Rigmarole Town and everyone is just chat, 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 yap, 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 yap. They don't even notice them. They're all engaged in like different conversations. And finally, the wizard has to like stop some kid who's walking by, not in a conversation, and be like, "Hey, is this Rigmarole Town?" This kid.
He gives a speech.
He's like, "Sir, if you traveled very much, you'll have noticed that every town differs from every town, and blah 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 blah."
Oh no, you have to say the whole thing.
I'd
In
have
fact,
to.
I'll say the whole thing.
Okay, good. I was like, I'd have to get the book because I didn't write the whole thing because it was so long. Go.
The boy says, If you had traveled very much, you will notice that every town differs from every other town in one way or another, and so by observing the methods of the people and the way they live, as well as the style of their dwelling places, it ought not be a difficult thing to make up your mind without the trouble of asking questions whether the town bears the appearance of the one you intended to visit, or whether perhaps it's taken a different road from the one you should have taken, or made an error in your way and arrived at some point where...
As many words as possible to answer a yes or no question.
It's not even answering it.
And he doesn't even get to the answer.
I don't even know what he's talking. Like, you said all those words and I didn't. Nothing went into my
Wyatt
brain.
read it perfectly because there's no punctuation. It's just words.
And I tried, like, I did copy this, just the direct text into my notes, mainly because I was trying to summarize it, and I was like, okay, well, he says... He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything. He says nothing in particular.
It's like he's distracting them so that his friend can steal all their stuff.
Right.
Oh my god.
I wish that's what was happening.
Attenzione!
Pickpocket!
On M is like, dude, stop. Like, what's all this rigmarole about?
And the wizard says,
aha!
Ding! That's it. It's Rigmarole Town.
He's a rigmarole.
He's a rigmarole. And he's giving you a rigmarole.
I'm upset.
Uncle
And
Henry's
it's
like,
disturbing.
he could have just answered with a yes or a no. And Ombi Ambi's like,
That's not the point.
Not here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to emphasize, rigmarole is a word that I'm familiar with, but like I've never really thought about because I don't use it because it's not the 40s.
I always thought it was rigmarole, but when you Google that, it's actually rigmarole.
Yeah, I thought it was rigmarole, but it's rigmarole. But rigmarole is a lengthy, complicated...
Welcome to the stage, rigmarole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do an applause after that.
But rigmarole is a lengthy, complicated, and rambling story or statement, which brings us
Or
to...
process.
Or process. Which brings us to our guest trivia of the night.
Ooh, lots of trivia
It's not
lately.
math, is it?
Oh, it's math and you both have to do it.
No!
No, it's not.
Oh, thank God.
So, tonight's guest trivia is the word rigmarole emerged in the mid-18th century from what other two words, originally meaning a legal document containing a list of offenses. So, of the four following pairs of words, which of them do you think would have meant in the 18th century a legal document containing a list of offenses? So, A, rummer roll, B, ragman roll, C, rummager roll, or D, rigging roll. Again, that is rummer roll, ragman roll, rummager roll, or rigging roll.
You know, the third one,
Rummager roll?
that one kind of maybe because it's like you're rummaging into things that you shouldn't be, and it could be offensive maybe or something. You're just doing things that you shouldn't be. It's, I don't know. But then also the D, what is it again?
Rigging roll?
Rigging the game.
I kind of like A personally.
Rummer roll?
Yeah, but I like Hannah's logic for C. Like, you're rummaging, you're doing a
getting into
crime.
things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, but D also kind of, I don't know. I'm gonna say, I think I'm gonna go with C.
Rummager roll?
Yeah. What is it?
It is ragman roll.
Oh, I was thinking
wondered.
ragman mainly just because I was like straw man.
Oh my god.
But I was like, that's dumb.
You know, like the thing about this, like if you say ragman roll, but then if you say like ragaman roll, rigmarole, it all just sounds so close. But I mean, I designed the other answers to sound the same too. But like ragman roll is it, and yeah, it's a legal document containing a list of offenses in the 18th century. So nothing crazy, but so strange, which I guess just means like it's, you know, ad nauseum, like there's a bunch of information in it, like, but it doesn't really mean anything because, you know, it could be condensed. So anyway, that's the guest reviewing you. did pretty good. You got second place.
I did something.
So as this boy is talking and talking and talking, other rigmaroles are like getting pulled into this because they're hearing him talking and they have to respond. So like it's becoming like this little mob around the wagon. Some of them are responding to what the boy is saying in like these long drawn out speeches.
Oh, no.
Some of them are responding to what those other rigmaroles are saying.
A mob is forming.
That's an ugly cycle right there.
Yeah. One of the they're just surrounded by strangers screaming. One of the ladies overhears the gang like criticizing the rigmaroles and being like, "What the hell is this? What's going on here?" And she starts laying into them like, "It's so easy for someone to answer a question with yes or no, with a question that is asked for the purpose of gaining information or satisfying curiosity of the one who has given expression." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Dorothy looks this woman dead in the eye. She is like, I have lost track of what you were saying. I have no idea what you were saying.
Yeah.
On him is like, don't let her start over. Like,
Yeah, don't interrupt her. She's gonna start over. But the lady never stops. She just keeps on talking through it all. The wizard remarks that if they waited long enough and listened close enough, that probably someone here would say something.
Dorothy's like, why?
Yeah, she's like, let's not wait. I've heard a lot about, like, I've heard enough already. Like, let's just get the fuck out of here.
I wondered what the rigmaroles were like. Now I know. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's go see Flutter budgets.
Yeah, and everyone's annoyed.
Ozma. I'm
She
never
just-
getting an itinerary from you ever again.
She just needed it
Yeah.
to take as long as possible so she could think of two simple little fucking jobs for Aunt Em and Uncle Henry.
That's why I need to talk to Ozma because you got to put him in the house that they
Yeah, take them
Yeah.
down to Munchkin Land.
take him to
That's
Munchkin
what.
Land.
That's literally what Dorothy asked for too. Now that I think about it, she was like, "Can they just like have a farm
It is.
in Munchkin
And then guess
Land?"
what? They get to clean up that house. They get to start anew in this nice little. They start a farm. They do whatever the fuck they want, and they don't have to pay for anything. They don't have to. That's a perfect life for them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is
Yo ho, yo ho, a perfect life for me.
them.
But everyone in their party is done with the rigmaroles. They want to move on. The wizard is like, Sawhorse, get up. And they ride out of town toward the open road ahead. Dorothy turns around and she sees that lady is still just talking and talking and talking. Nobody's even like everyone's like moved on and like they're still talking about different things but away from the wagon. And that lady's just standing by herself like, and you know what? Another thing, if you think about it this way, there's and like it's crazy.
I know people like that.
Yeah.
You? I'm kidding. Ombi Ambi, charming as ever, is like, if those people wrote books, it would take a whole library for them to say the cow jumped over the moon.
Yeah. And
So funny.
the wizard is like, yeah, I think I've read some books by the rigmaroles before. Like,
Yeah.
they must have come from this town.
That is such a funny
Just
joke.
stupid.
L. Frank Baum is not allowed to make that joke.
Yeah.
No, that's not his joke to make.
That's not as
What book are we reading right now? This is insane. This is rigmarole. This book is rigmarole.
Maybe.
actually.
I mean, I wouldn't be so
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, rigmarole.
But the Shaggy Man is like, yeah, college professors and ministers are probably related to rigmaroles because all they do is talk,
Yeah.
and they're ugly.
The United States could really learn a lesson from Oz because they're allowed to just roam the streets torturing innocent people in the U.S.
But in Oz, anybody who talks like that is sent to Rigmarole Town, apparently. Rigmarole is a refugee colony for people who are annoying.
It's a concentration camp.
I thought the exact same thing, but I don't think we
feel
should
like
put it in
I
the
would
air.
end up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
They
But
would put me there.
Dorothy really like they just kind of like sit with this information for like they sit with their thoughts for a minute in silence, which they probably need after experiencing Rigmarole Town.
Yeah.
And Dorothy really just takes stock of her time with the rigmaroles, and she's like, from now on, whenever I speak, I'm only going to use enough words to express what I want to say. I can't keep torturing people with what I was just tortured
She
with.
learned a good lesson that day.
She was
did.
Oprah in The Color Purple, like, don't switch places with what I've been through.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
But that is also the end of chapter 22, How the Wizard Found Dorothy. And Blake, what would you call that?
Not to be lazy, but a whole lot of rigmarole. Was that a drum?
Chapter 23, How They Encountered the Flutter Budgets.
That's what they were called the whole time?
Flutter
Well,
Budgets.
we're on our way to them.
I-
But yes.
I feel like you were
They've
saying it
referenced that
earlier,
before.
and I...
Oh, you're thinking of the Fuddles. You're thinking of that.
Yeah. That was a different race.
Flutter butt. The Flutter budget?
Yes, Flutter Budget. Oh
Flutter
my god.
Budgets, yes.
I swear that's really what I was trying to say.
Oh my god, I don't even remember what just happened. I like broke something in my brain when I laughed
I
at
bit
that.
my cheek.
So I think L. Frank Baum is really trying to rush us to the end of this thing because they get
Honestly,
out.
thank God.
And honestly, yeah, we thank him. I think he wrote that rigmarole chapter and then he was like, oh shit.
He's like, I'm becoming my worst enemy.
So they get out of Rigmarole Town. The sawhorse goes so fast, covering miles and miles in like no time at all.
Yeah, the road is smooth and hard, and they are just fucking rolling.
Yeah.
They are going fast.
Yeah.
They're racing.
Shortly, they come to another village, which looks bigger than Rigmarole Town, but it's not as like cute.
And
Okay.
the wizard declares that this must be Flutter Budget Center.
Okay, every
So-
time I read that, like I totally get how that can be like a town name, but it sounds like it's from like Xenon Girl of the Future.
Flutter Budget Center.
Yeah.
It's currently orbiting Uranus.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the year 3042.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please report to B9 of Flutter Budget Center.
Yeah, it also sounds like the administration planet from Futurama or something.
Yeah.
Like it sounds so.
It's very sci-fi.
The wizard remarks also that you can get where you want by keeping to the right road. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
fuck
wait,
you.
what about the enchanted wheels?
Yeah.
Is
I think no,
saying-
he's sucking his own dick about the enchanted wheels again.
But
He's
it's like-
oh, isn't it nice to stay on the road when he's the one who led them into the forest to begin with?
Yes, okay. So there's so many layers to it because on one hand I'm like, yeah, he's saying stay to the road, but then it's like, but he's saying the wheels he invented mean that you'll always find the road. So like, why does that even matter? Like,
because
I
he
don't know.
just did it.
It's, I mean, yeah,
It was today. I hate
Yeah.
him. I don't care. He's dead to me. I'm sorry. I'm freaking out. But Dorothy is like, what are the Flutter budgets like? And the wizard tells her that he doesn't know, but that Ozma gave them their own town to live in, and that whenever someone becomes a Flutter budget, they are sent to live in Flutter Budget Center. Just like when someone starts talking too much, they're sent to live in Rigmarole Town. Ombiambi is like, yeah, it's true. Rigmarole Town and Flutter Budget Center are known as the defensive settlements.
the city or the Flutter Budget Center is built on this hill, and there's this road that kind of winds around it, kind of like Yellow Brick Road
Corkscrew.
style. Yeah, corkscrew style.
Oh, ooh, okay. Giving
Suddenly,
architecture.
Mhm.
As they're climbing this corkscrew road, suddenly they hear a voice shout, look out, or you'll run over my child.
They look around, and there's this woman standing on the sidewalk. She's wringing her hands. She's reaching out. She's like wanting them to stop. She's
on
freaking
the verge
fuck
of tears.
out.
Oh my
yeah.
God. Well, where's her child?
So
Well,
Under the wheel?
the sawhorse who's driving this thing is
Uh-huh.
like, where's your child? The woman's like, in the house, and just bursts into tears.
And yeah, so she's like, but think if my child was in the road and then you would have crushed her to jelly. Oh, no, don't think of her as jelly. And then she's just bursting into
Oh my
tears
God.
more. She's losing
but-
it.
The wizard.
The sawhorse might not have organs, but the sawhorse has eyes.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
amen.
The wizard leans over to the sawhorse. He's like, get up,
Yeah.
sawhorse. And
Then they're
walk
off.
away.
Yep,
Oh.
they leave her.
walk away.
That's giving like Red Dead Redemption when there's a
Oh my
person
God.
just like in the road saying help. Help!
And you know you'll ride
go.
by in 5 days, and she's still gonna be there, and then you can do it.
Exactly. Not today.
Yeah. So now, as they're going up the rest of the road, a man runs out of his house screaming, "Help!
Oh
Help!"
my god, this is Red Dead.
So
Just a sec.
they stop the wagon. The wizard, Uncle Henry, and the Shaggy Man, and Ombi Ambi all get out and run to the man. Like, all of us are going to go help this man, I guess. The man keeps screaming for help, and he's like, "My wife, she's cut her finger off. She's bleeding to death." So that means that his wife must have murdered a child. So that serves her right. frankly.
Is
That's
that what happened? You
true.
murder
Oh
a
my
child and
gosh.
then your finger
You
gets cut
can't
off?
die by
You can't
accident.
die. Yeah.
You can only die
Oh
deliberately.
my god, okay. I got it now.
So the man runs into the house. Everyone follows him. Even like Aunt Emma and Dorothy
Everyone,
get out
whole
of the
crew.
wagon. Everyone goes with them. In the entryway, a woman is moaning, like sitting on the ground, moaning, holding her finger.
And the wizard is like, "Hey, like, don't worry. Like, you're not gonna die just from like cutting your finger off. Like, you're gonna be
do some
fine."
magic.
Well, she looks up and she's like, "I didn't cut my finger off."
Yeah. The wizard's like, or no, Dorothy actually. She's like, "Well, then what happened? Because we all just ran in here under a different
Thinking you were
story."
about to
Um,
murder a child and then bleed to death.
The woman and then bleed on it. The woman is like, "I pricked my finger with a needle while I was sewing, and I started to bleed." And she goes,
does not like blood.
"No." And she goes on saying, like, "Now I'm going to get blood poisoning. So then the doctor's going to cut off my finger. And then that surgery is going to give me a fever and I'm going to die."
Yeah, and Dorothy, to quote
She's
Dorothy,
a hypochondriac.
she is. And
I don't know what disease she thinks she has with all of that, but that's giving hypochondriac.
That's a scaredy cat for sure.
Yeah, and something we've heard on M say, something we've heard many people say before, but I don't think we've heard Dorothy say, is pshaw to all of that.
Oh, pshaw.
Dorothy says that she has pricked her finger many times, and she has always been fine. She's always been all right, all right. And the woman is just scared. She's not hurt at all. She's like, "Hey, you're literally just like freaking out."
You're like,
There's
"Honey,
no
this is an
reason."
anxiety attack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and while
exactly.
that is
You're
real.
having
but
a panic
The
attack."
wizard has an aha moment,
Yeah.
and he is like, "Fellas, I think I know what the flutter budgets are like." Because,
Yeah.
we met
Yeah.
a woman who was scared of the kid inside the house getting run over by a wagon.
There we
And we
go.
met the guy whose wife cut her finger off, but actually it was pricked by a needle,
Yeah.
and she's terrified.
And the woman who's terrified because she pricked her
So
finger.
we're surrounded by liars.
Yeah.
We're
Yes.
surrounded by, like, honestly, hypochondriacs, scaredy cats, doomsdayers. Like, I don't even know. They're just so worried. They're flutter
They're
budgets.
people with anxiety disorders.
So Dorothy is like, "Yeah, I think we know what the flutter budgets are like, Mr. Wizard. I
Oh,
think we're
God.
all kind of caught up."
I think this might be the worst people.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well-
I'd take them over the fuddles.
But then
I don't wanna
this
do that.
Or
woman,
the puzzle people.
Yeah.
this woman bursts into tears again, kind of like in the middle of this.
Shaggy Man's like, "What now?"
She's like, "What?" And she's like, "What if I had pricked my foot? I would have been footless and lame forever." And the wizard's like,
I love this.
And yeah, this is insane because the wizard is like, "Yeah, and if you'd pricked your nose, maybe they'd have to cut off your head, but you didn't."
But you didn't.
And that, of course, is terrible because she's like, "But I might have." It's
The
like,
gang,
yeah.
they go back out to their wagon. They're done. They're over
Yeah, ignore
it.
them. Just keep
they drive
riding.
away.
Keep riding.
Before they can even really drive away, the husband runs back outside screaming for help.
Oh my god.
They just like look at him and then ignore him and then go back on their way on the road. So you would think maybe they'll stopping for people.
yeah. But then another man walks into the street,
Oh god.
and he's walking anxiously back and forth. And the wizard, nice guy, stops and asks what's wrong.
He's like, "Everything's wrong. I can't sleep." Ombi Ambi's like, why can't you sleep? The guy's like, if I go to sleep, I'll shut my eyes. And if I shut my eyes, the skin might fuse together and then I'd go blind for life. And Dorothy's like, yeah, but
Isn't
like,
that disturbing?
That's
that is so
insane.
scary. Yeah,
Why
no,
are they?
sorry,
This
let
is
that
a
sink
children's
in.
book.
Yeah, how
I know.
terrible.
Because then
Yeah.
all of a sudden I would think like maybe that can happen.
Yeah.
I'm
that's sick.
thinking that right now,
But
actually.
so Dorothy, what Dorothy says to this man that might help you as well is she's like, have you ever seen that happen to somebody before?
That's true.
And he's like, no, but I keep thinking about it, so I can't close my eyes. The wizard's just like, okay, this is useless. And they decide to move on. And I wish I could tell you, dear listener, that they stopped moving through the town and talking to everyone who seemed agitated about something. But alas,
At the next
cannot.
corner. At the next corner, there's a woman who runs up screaming, please save my baby. Oh, good people, please save my baby.
Dorothy sees that the woman is
The baby's not even born.
Dorothy's
No, well.
worse. Well, I don't know. that was weird. But the woman is holding a sleeping baby. The baby looks comfortable and fine. She's like, "Save my baby! Save my baby!"
And Dorothy's like, okay, like, is your baby in danger? And what the woman says is pretty insane.
Okay,
Let's
this
hear
is
it.
insane. You thought the last thing was morbid. She's like, yeah, my baby's in danger because if I went back inside my house and threw my baby out of the upstairs window, then my baby would be thrown down the hill and then eaten by the tigers and bears that might be down there who would tear my babies to pieces.
What?
This woman cannot let her intrusive thoughts win.
Because why is the
She-
first thing throwing the baby out the window?
Yeah, that is like
Don't do
the
that.
tigers
Yeah.
and bears are not the problem here.
yeah,
sister.
you're the danger. Actually, take the baby.
Because it started there. Yeah, seriously.
Take the
Take
baby.
This is
baby.
the first.
Now
this
there's
is
a
not-
baby.
Not a Flutter budget.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
woman is actually
That's
insane.
honest.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
being very honest and
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yeah, she's like, this is a call for help. The wizard is like, does this neighborhood have many bears and tigers? The woman's like, no, but if there were, and the wizard is like, okay, hold on. You're not planning on throwing that baby out the window, are you?
Grab the baby,
And-
Shaggy man. Grab the
and
baby.
She's like, no, of course I'm not gonna throw my baby out the window. The wizard's like, okay, so maybe don't be so hung up on ifs.
yeah.
Maybe just
Yeah.
live your life.
You're basing your whole life on ifs, and then like you need to stop that actually. And she is just a Flutter budget, though.
She's a flutter budget. So the wizard has the sawhorse run and not stop running
Yeah.
until they are back at the bottom of the hill
Miles.
and miles away from Flutter Budget Center.
Yeah.
We're done with Flutter Budgets, and frankly, I'm glad to see them go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They seem stressful.
So after traveling for a while away from the Flutter budgets, they are noticing that, as you would imagine, because they're in the land of the Gillikins, that everything is purple, which I was not imagining this whole time. But
Yeah,
this
didn't
whole
think of it.
time, everything has been purple, but then they're slowly starting to tint into the yellow shade.
Where's that mean they are?
They're in the Winkies.
Yes,
L-
man.
Land of the Vinkus.
The Vinkus!
Yeah. But yeah,
Ombi Ambi notices the yellow, and he's like, hey, looks like we're crossing the boundary line into Land of the Winkies. Great. The wizard's like, perfect. We may be at the Tin Woodman's place by lunchtime.
I don't really know what time it is.
I don't either. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess
I guess they rest.
they started
they
their
slept,
day and then
yeah.
ran
You
to the Flutter Budgets.
Yeah, they could have.
and they did go
You know
through
what?
2 towns, right?
They did, and I think that they woke up. Let's say they left at like 8 a.m. from their camp. Yeah, sure, 8 a.m. Then they traveled for a couple hours, found the rigmaroles. So it's like 10 o'clock, maybe 10:30 when they leave there. Give it another hour and a half. Like they're probably around like 1 p.m. now. So
Yeah.
they're like about.
Yeah.
Oh, but now, so is that lunchtime?
Well, no, I bet it's probably more like 10, 11 right now somehow. They frankly, they didn't spend very much time in rigmarole at all, and they didn't spend very much time with the Flutter Budgets
Yeah.
either.
They were quick.
And
It was walkthroughs.
and twice the sawhorse ran like the wind. So
That's true.
I
That's
think
true.
like it makes sense that it could be like 11 a.m. But the wizard says, "Hey, well, maybe we'll be at the Tin Woodman's place by lunchtime." And on M, you know how positive she is all the time. She's like, "He isn't gonna feed us 10, is he?"
Oh my god.
And Dorothy's like, hey, yeah, Nick Chopper knows how to feed meat people.
He was actually a human
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
if you ever listen to anything I fucking say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've already learned about this on M.
You know-
So then
Sorry, but you know how there's citizenship classes? They should have to take citizenship classes for
for
Oz
Oz,
and get caught up on the very
Yeah, just-
recent
Yeah,
history.
you just
Very.
become
the last couple
you become an
years.
Ozite if Ozma likes you.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
But Uncle Henry's like, "Oh, Nick Chopper, is that the Tin Woodman's name?" And Dorothy's like, "Yep." And his other name is Emperor of the Winkies. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, Dorothy, stop.
Yeah.
Let's give him one name with Nick Chopper as a clarifier. Let's not keep adding names.
She
They're-
should just
they're
stop
new here.
calling him Nick Chopper. Everyone else calls him fucking
Pick
the
a
Tin
name.
Woodman.
Yeah, totally. I think L. Frank Baum really liked that name. Like he made it up
So
super
stupid.
randomly, and then he like really liked it, and he had to bring it up as often as possible.
He was like, we're hanging on to
Um,
that.
He's like, we're getting mileage out of this.
On him is like, there's not going to be any flutter budgets or rigmaroles at his castle, right? Which I think is an annoying question.
But a fair
because-
question.
Well, she knows that nobody else has ever met a
That's
rigmarole
true.
or a flutter budget before today.
True.
So she's just being a
You're
hater
right.
for the
She's
sake of being a hater.
It's like, we're past that. We're past it.
Yeah.
We're going to familiar grounds. You should be fucking happy.
Yeah, just relax for once. But Dorothy's like, no, his tin castle is full of the most lovely things. And Uncle Henry's like, doesn't his tin castle rust? Like, I don't get that.
Dorothy explains that
I think that's a fair question.
that is
totally
yeah.
a fair question.
Oh yeah, it's
Uncle
a,
Henry's reasonable.
and it's a
Yeah.
much more interesting question. That's just conversation.
Yeah.
It's not a criticism. You're saying, "Oh wow, a tin castle, does it rust?" Because obviously that would happen. But there are thousands of Winkies who polish it every day because they
Every
love
day
him.
because they
Love
love him
them.
so much.
Yeah.
On him's like, well, if the castle gets polished, the Tin Woodman must get polished too. The wizard reminds us that the Tin Woodman was nickel plated 3 books ago.
Yeah.
Remember the nickel plated emperor? Wasn't that the chapter?
Barely.
I think it was.
I
That was the
hate that I
chapter name.
remember that.
Dorothy explains that she was the one who found the Tin Woodman with the help of the Scarecrow. He was like lost in the forest, and then how they went to Oz to meet the wizard. And Aunt M asks if that was the time that the wizard scared Dorothy.
I love this part because the
Yeah.
wizard is kind of getting bred for filth
He
in a very
is.
fair way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It is very fair. Because
Um,
she's like, yeah, is that the time he scared you?
Yeah. Dorothy's like, he didn't treat us well at first, but then when we killed the Wicked Witch of the West and discovered that he was a humbug, he was great. Which is like, Dorothy.
He ditched you.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
literally sent you to death, and then when you didn't die, you still had to discover that he was a humbug before he became a good guy.
Yeah.
He's scary. He's actually really scary.
Yeah. So he did scare her.
And rightfully, he's like seeming a
He's
little ashamed
embarrassed.
of himself.
Yeah.
Good.
And he like says
Take
like
some responsibility.
totally, and he like basically says like when we try to deceive others, the mistakes always happen. Like nobody should do that.
Yeah.
Karma bitch.
But
Yeah.
Dorothy tells him that he was always a good man, even when he was a bad wizard, which I think is a great
It's-
callback to the first book and also the movie.
It is, but it's also just not true. Like he tried to
He
like
was a
get them
bad
killed.
man. Yeah, he was a
And
bad
then
man.
yeah.
He
he's
was
bad.
a bad man and a worse wizard. How's that?
Yes, yeah.
Or maybe a bad wizard and a worse man, honestly.
Well, no, because like you say man, he checks a lot of boxes. You say wizard, none of those boxes are checked.
Fair.
Yeah. But Aunt M is like, well, you're a great wizard now because she's been fucking and very impressed with like all the shit he's done. And Omi Ambi is like, yeah, everyone is very proud of the wizard. And he recalls the time that the wizard made the giant bubbles that sent everyone home,
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, so that was wizardry? Like the wizard was already a wizard? Like he
Exactly.
was
yeah, how
already,
did he know
like,
that?
It
How
was
long?
glue and soap.
That's what I thought. But then now I'm like, well, was it actually well, it must have been magic.
Well, are they like are they talking about him being a wizard? Or are they talking about him being smart?
Well, the
See-
wizard already lived in Oz at that point, so maybe the glue and
Yeah.
soap were enchanted.
That's what I think. I think the glue and soap were enchanted.
Okay.
It's my opinion.
That's my opinion. Everyone is done kissing the wizard's butthole, so now he's not sad anymore. They're coming into a more populated part of the Winky country, and there are several farmhouses. They can see a lot of Winkies tending the land.
Everyone's taking their little hats off.
Yeah, they're bowing
waving.
to the wagon. They know that they're not in the middle of nowhere anymore. Like obviously, like Winkies live here. We're getting close to the castle.
It's all the like rolling, like golden, like yellow fields of grains and corns. It's like beautiful.
Out of the woods, you're out of the dark, you're
Yes,
out of the
very
night.
that. Yeah. But this time they're going to the west. But
Quite
yeah.
the opposite. The castle's soon they see the castle actually in the distance. Almost skipped that important part. And it's twinkling in the sunshine, and it's still a good distance away. But the sawhorse, knowing that his passengers are eager to arrive, and L. Frank Baum is eager to finish writing this book, he breaks into a swift trot toward the castle.
He shifts it into whatever gears faster than the other ones. And he rides us right out of that chapter, which was called Chapter 23, How They Encountered the Flutter Budgets. And Blake, what would you call that?
I hope you guys like this one. Ifs, ands, and flutter budgets.
Chapter 24, How the Tin Woodman Told the Sad News.
The scarecrow died. Wait, don't look at me like that.
Okay, wait. Okay, let us just go.
Wait.
Wait,
Okay,
let us
yeah,
just
just go.
Okay.
I can't believe this.
I'm gonna
right now.
cry.
Okay. So they make it to the Tin Castle, and the Tin Woodman is happy to greet them. But like, even though he's smiley and friendly like usual, Dorothy can tell that like something is like not right, and like he's worried about something.
Something's wrong. He's acting a little weird, but he's like trying to like entertain Aunt Em and Uncle Henry, and they're like losing it.
They're
over
really
him.
impressed
Yeah,
by him.
they're like,
Yeah.
this castle is beautiful. Like the Tin Woodman
Oh,
is beautiful. Like it
wow.
all looks great. And the sawhorse, for some reason, is led around to the stables.
I literally
with no other horses.
Yeah.
because
Next-
there's
they
no
have
horses.
There
stables.
are no
on.
horses, but they have stables. And I literally wrote next to that, that's kind of wild.
Yeah. I mean, last time they visited the Tin Woodman,
Is it strictly just for the sawhorse? I mean, he probably
Yeah,
visits.
But like,
It
why
must-
does he
but-
have to go to the
But like
stables?
he understands everything
He's a
everyone's
person.
saying.
That's true,
They'd
actually.
be better off to just at least have him understand what was
If
happening.
you're gonna put the sawhorse in the stables, then you're putting Toto in the dog bed, and you're putting
Yeah.
who else? Belina in the coop.
Yeah.
no, but
Toto
Belina,
goes to the kennel, and
Yeah,
Belina
yeah.
goes to the coop. Yeah.
Belina sleeps in the women's tent, and Toto sleeps in the men's
my
tent,
God.
and the sawhorse sleeps outside under the stars.
Yeah. Because the thing is, they're gonna have to tell the sawhorse what happened today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for the
like he doesn't
morning-
want to know.
Yeah,
Come
they're gonna be
on.
like, hey, like just so you know, like this is like what happened last night. Like,
Let's update you.
The poor boy.
Or maybe he's like
God.
looking from the outside inside.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Oh.
I
He's
hope
just
to
like,
God.
There's a TV screen for him.
Honestly,
wishing
it would make it at
on a
least it would
star.
make it easier at least for him. But I agree though. That was my note. Was like for some reason they do that. But you know what? Last time he was in the Tin Woodman's castle, I want to say is when he took Tip there. That we read,
Yeah.
and they left him in the other room.
That's
the
right.
Tin Woodman was like,
So
"What
it's
the
just
fuck
what
is
they
that?"
do.
He's always been a piece of furniture.
He's always in the
but
background.
he used to he's had like a big old attitude in previous books. I'm like, oh no, that's the
Yeah, why
guy.
is
Like
he
he's a
just-
guy.
They broke him down.
He's been beaten.
Alfred Baum, I
They
really
broke
think
the horse.
They
breaking
broke
a
the
horse.
horse.
They broke him.
I want the
With
old
this
sock.
book-
I want the old sock.
I want the Osaka. I want the Osaka. I want the Osaka. I want the Osaka.
That's hard to say. I want the old sawhorse back.
Yeah, honestly, he was kind of a douche, but L. Frank Baum is like trying to tie up some loose ends with this book, I feel.
Yeah.
So then Dorothy asks the Tin Woodman, hey, where's Scarecrow?
Stop.
And so, the Tin Woodman explains that the Scarecrow is not there because he is currently just moving into his new mansion.
He has a new mansion. He's fine.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You said we'd never get you
guys,
again.
yeah, you guys are getting creative. Oh my! Okay, I'm not gonna guess anymore. Because I'm guessing worst case scenario. Oh God, I was like, no, that can't be true. Because I feel like that just can't be true. So he's a child murderer.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say no one can die in Oz.
In 3 years, we will still be talking about how you said we could never get you again.
You guys are sneaky. Yeah.
But yeah, the Scarecrow's in his new mansion, which has been being worked on for a really long time by the Winkies and also like many others from different parts of Oz. And it's finally been completed, and the Scarecrow just moved in 2 days ago.
And then Dorothy has a pretty good question.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, wait a minute. Like, the Scarecrow lived in the Emerald City for, like, a while, like, while he was emperor. Ever since Ozma's become princess, like, he's been there still. So, like...
He's a politician.
Like,
Why wouldn't he be in the Emerald
Yeah,
City?
she's like, why isn't he just there? Like, he's always lived there. And, of course... We're informed that the Scarecrow just got tired of city life. He's a farmer.
Yeah, he's a farmer through and through.
Born
because
on a farm.
He lived on a farm for 3 days before Dorothy found him.
He was literally 2.5 days old. But he's a farmer that's born and raised. And so Ozma gave him some land, and
oh, how nice of her.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah. He was born on a farm and likes the farm.
And
Well,
he's not
you
even a
go
real
back.
farmer.
No, he doesn't even remember the farm. But Ozma gave him a farm, and it took an entire country of people to build his mansion over a long period of time.
Yeah,
so
and I'm like,
I'm glad he got back to his domestic,
his
rural
roots.
roots.
Yeah,
Jinx.
rural roots.
Interesting.
Rural roots.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Rural Roots.
Rank, rue, rhyme, rappy to rear. Sorry.
Oh my God, my brain.
So the Shaggy Man asks who designed the Scarecrow's house, and the Tin Woodman says that he believes it was Jack Pumpkinhead, but we're not sure.
And I'm like, Jack Pumpkinhead is a fucking idiot. His house is a giant pumpkin.
Yeah,
that
We're
he
not
carved
talking
out.
about him.
He made the blueprints
And
for
then he
a
just has a
mansion.
graveyard in front of his house of all his dead
He
heads.
lives
Yeah.
in a hollowed out pumpkin.
Yeah, I don't know why this is the case. And also, it says, Jack Pumpkinhead, who's also a farmer, and it's like,
No.
why would that make him
Sort
any
of.
more?
He's
I
not
know
really a farmer.
he's not. Granted, he never sleeps, so I guess he's probably like a very effective.
He
farmer, I
literally
guess.
only farms pumpkins so that he never dies. He only needs like 4 good pumpkins a year.
He could probably wait for a year in between pumpkins if he had to.
I feel like we have squash that we purchased 8 months ago on top of our refrigerator.
Yeah, we have 2 butternut squash and this crazy gray squash. I don't even know what the fuck it
I
is.
don't know. Was it always gray?
Oh yes, it
Oh,
was.
for
It's
sure.
supposed to be like that.
So anyway, they go to lunch. Autumn is pleased to discover that the food is just as ample and delicious as Dorothy had said it would be.
And the Tin Woodman just watches them feast.
No.
He's just like,
I don't eat meat. I don't eat anything.
I want to eat. Oh, I want to eat again.
What?
But he can't.
He just like nibbles on some tin. He's like, "Kong."
Yeah,
Kong.
just for the mouthfeel.
Ew.
Just for the mouthfeel.
But after just for the mouthfeel. After lunch, they spend the afternoon exploring the Tin Woodman's gardens, which have tin paths and tin fountains and tin statues and real flowers, because as we all know, the Tin Woodman loves a good flower.
As I was reading through this, I was reminded that the Tin Woodman plucked a rosé once upon a time. I fully forgot about that. There's one flower bed that's special. It's full of these tin flowers, so they never die, but they grow like real flowers, but they're just made of tin, and they're always in
They
bloom.
all year long, which is honestly, I didn't catch on that they were actually alive. I was like, oh, they're little sculptures.
Yeah, but then it said they keep growing.
Yeah.
And there's also some hollyhocks that are going to seed, which doesn't matter at all. But there's some flowers that are at seeds, and they're going to plant them and grow more.
Yeah.
And it's just magic.
Yep. There's also a little koi pond that is
Yeah.
full of tin koi.
Yeah.
And Autumn's like, oh, would these fish bite on hooks?
Oh my
The
god.
Tin Woodman. Do you remember that one time when he wouldn't step on a beetle?
Oh yeah.
Well,
Wow.
he's insulted.
He's a mass murderer now.
No, he's so mad that she would even ask that question.
Oh,
he
that's right.
tells her that he would kill one of those tin fish just as soon as he would kill Dorothy.
Isn't that insane? He's like, yeah, like
their
same,
lives,
same.
Their lives have the exact same value.
Same to him.
Okay, I thought he was gonna be a murderer now, but
No,
I mean, he's killed
just-
many.
He works for PETA. I don't know.
interesting. He
um,
decides when he wants to be fair. and
Yeah.
when
He also
doesn't.
like while he is very like I refuse to eat my fish. He's also very like my fish aren't stupid enough to bite on hooks anyway, which was the answer to the question that she asked. So let's just do that.
Yeah, let's go past.
But the wizard explains to Onim that the Tin Woodman is so kind-hearted that instead of brushing a fly away when it lands on him, he politely asks it to go and land somewhere else.
Yeah, which is so stupid. But we do find out the flies just do that, and they apologize because the flies can
sorry."
understand us.
I wish
in
bees
Oz.
did that.
Well,
Yeah, why?
well,
Well,
are you on M?
Yeah.
Because on M is like, oh fuck, in Kansas the flies don't fucking do that. You have
all
to
they
swat
understand
'em.
is a swat.
Yeah. She's like, what about the skeeters? You got skeeters in Oz?
Skeeter.
Wyatt,
Yeah.
Wyatt, tell Hannah the most horrifying thing ever.
Okay,
Oh,
there's
no.
2 levels to it because they do have skeeters in Oz. They're so large that they're the size of birds and they sing, and you don't swat them, and because they don't bother them. But most importantly, the reason they don't bother them is because they feed them. What do they
Yeah, I was
feed
like,
them?
with what?
They
Blood?
feed them the child murderers. They feed them the dead.
Like, what are they feeding them?
But like the mosquitoes are massive. They're well
Oh,
fed. And the
God.
only reason that mosquitoes here in the real world bite us is because we don't feed them well enough. And Onim is like, yeah, I mean, they definitely come for blood then. So it's like, so what are you feeding them in Oz?
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Do you
they're
think
so large and so well fed.
are there just like
This is giving like
goats
Vampire
being
Diaries.
slaughtered to like spill blood for the like giant mosquitoes? Does Ozma use her magic belt to make a like cornucopia of blood?
And
like,
why are mosquitoes flying around going,
And how come we haven't seen any?
Oh
I
my
don't
god!
want
Thank
to.
God
They're
we
Do you
have-
remember
huge.
that big ass spider that the lion had to go kill?
Oh, yeah.
I don't like that was the biggest bug I needed to see ever in my life. I hate it.
Yeah, bad. But they don't kill those either. And that evening, the Tin Woodman has the dinner, or during dinner, like there's a tin cornet band who plays, which I think we've met them before. And the wizard does a bunch of sleight of hand tricks. And then everyone's fucking tired, and this is the first time they've been like in a civilization for a while. So there's like really nice tin beds, which actually are nice, and everyone's
Yeah,
like,
that
"Oh yeah,
doesn't
we're going to
sound that nice.
bed." I imagine it being like futuristic chrome, like that, like SpongeBob Future episode, you know, where like everything is chrome and they spray paint everything chrome. I imagine it like that, so it's comfortable, just chrome.
The next morning after breakfast, Dorothy is like, "Hey, Tin Woodman, which way is it to the Scarecrow's house? Because I want to visit him on our way back to the Emerald City, or on our way home, actually. 'Cause
Yeah,
she lives there.
she
now.
specifically she says on our way home, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, the Emerald City is where her house
Yeah,
is.
her house is
That's
there.
crazy."
She lives in a castle.
yeah. But the Tin Woodman says that he's gonna just escort them like there because he's actually on his way to the Emerald City today anyway.
After mentioning the Emerald City, the Tin Woodman looks really nervous again, like he did earlier. And Dorothy notices it again, and she's like, "Is there something wrong with Ozma?"
And the Tin Woodman says, "Not yet."
Does he know things?
So sorry.
The Tin Woodman is like, "Hey, Dorothy, do you remember the Gnome King?" And she's like, "Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy I
Yeah.
defeated in battle and stole magical treasure from."
Yeah, she
I
actually
know.
says, "I remember him very well." Yeah, that guy who tried to like kill us all.
Yeah. Tin Woodman's like, "Yeah, so he wants revenge on you and Ozma. Him and his army are digging a tunnel under the deadly desert into the Emerald City so they can destroy us and rape us and kill us and keep us as slaves."
Yeah, he specifically says they.
How does he know?
Well,
Well, Ozma knows.
Okay,
So-
so she let him know.
so Dorothy is astounded. She is like, "What the fuck are you talking about? That's insane!" Like, and then she immediately assumes it was Ozma. So she's like, "How did Ozma find out?" And the Tin Woodman says, well, through the magic picture. And Dorothy's like, oh, of
She's
course.
like, why did I ask that question?
Why did I even ask you that?
But Dorothy's like, so what's the plan? And the Tin Woodman tells her, I can't tell you.
Because he doesn't know of a plan.
Bellina's like, gnomes schmomes. Let's throw a few eggs at him.
Yeah.
If
Defeat him with
only
the eggs.
it was just them.
And Dorothy loves that. Yes, exactly. Because the Tin Woodman is like, you guys don't understand the whole dreadful plot of it. Because, like, it's not just the gnomes. They have these allies who are going to come through first. They're going to defeat us, and they're not afraid of eggs. And then they're going to take us all as slaves and destroy our land.
Dorothy's like...
Everyone hated that.
Yeah, it's not good news. Dorothy's like, is
but
the
Uncle Henry and
tunnel-
Aunt Em are really annoyed right now.
Yeah, they're like, can we like bippity boppity?
They're like, actually, we'll go back to Kansas.
I would rather be homeless in Kansas than a slave.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But Dorothy's like, is the tunnel ready? And the Tin Woodman says that Ozma told him yesterday that the entire tunnel is completed, except for the crust thin enough for them to bust through and attack.
And it's right underneath the gardens of the Emerald City.
Oh my God, they gotta go.
Right in the middle of town.
Time to go.
So
And-
the Tin Woodman offered Ozma his Winky army, and she said, no, we're not going to fight.
What?
And Dorothy, yeah, exactly. Dorothy's like, why would she have said that?
Yeah, that's exactly what Dorothy said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dorothy said, what? But it actually makes sense because Ozma is like, hey, like you're offering me the Winky army, but if every single person in Oz banded together with weapons, we would not be able to defeat these people. Like, there's not enough Oz here to defend ourselves, so we shouldn't even fight. There's no use fighting.
People will die.
And people will die. And the Tin Woodman says, worse than that, those of you who aren't fairy people, which is the wizard, Dorothy, Uncle Henry, Aunt Em,
And Toto.
Bellina, the Shaggy Man.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, they will all be killed quickly and horribly.
By execution.
They will be put to death because they're not fairy people. Like, everyone else is a fairy person.
They can't be killed.
Yeah, which is
Oh
insane.
my God.
But so obviously everyone is increasingly distressed.
Yeah. Dorothy's like, what do we do? The Tin Woodman's like, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
Except plead.
So since Ozma's refused the Tin Woodman's army, he's like, I'm just gonna go to the Emerald City by myself. Because why?
Because he wants to perish by his beloved ruler if they're all going to perish anyway.
And I got
Not with
like,
his city.
I got this like movie image of like the Tin Woodman, the Scarecrow, Ozma, Jack Pumpkin, like just like everyone like sitting down in the throne room and just waiting.
Yeah.
Like,
very
it was
the
very
end of the
Green
Green
Knight.
Knight. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That.
Oh, that's actually really beautiful.
It's
I know.
insane.
Yeah.
I'm crying.
Because I just got that imagery. Like,
And that is the end of chapter 24, how the Tin Woodman told the sad news. And Blake, what would you call
Okay.
that?
I'm
I was
upset with that chapter name now that I hear it.
The Tunnel Unveiled. Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time as we continue with Chapter 25, How the Scarecrow Displayed His Wisdom. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcast for the latest on everything Oz. Oz Hour, created and hosted by Blake Stone and Wyatt Swingham. Co-hosted by Hannah Aguirre. Audio production by Charlie Johnson. Theme music written and performed by Rudy Klobus. Cover art by Valentin Lucas.